Well, here we have inexperienced armorer on Baldwin set raised alarm bells on prior film. I'm grade 7 and I was going to stay away from this one, but I felt this needed to be shown here. No, I'm not saying this is true. The sources say they have sources, so take it for what you will. Go on down here. There were previous concerns raised by the 24-year-old armorer who was hired on Alex Baldwin's film Rust, with two production sources telling the Daily Beast that filming on the set of her last movie was briefly stopped after she allegedly gave a gun to an 11-year-old actress without checking it properly. She was a bit careless with the guns, waving it around every now and then. A source who worked alongside armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed on the upcoming Nicolas Cage film The Old Way. There were a couple of times when she was loading blanks and doing it in a fashion that we thought was unsafe. Gutierrez-Reed was identified in a Santa Fe Sheriff's Office search warrant affidavit as the armorer on set when Baldwin was given a prop gun he believed was safe. Baldwin discharged the gun, fatally striking 42-year-old Helen Hutchinson, and injuring 48-year-old director Joel Souza. Okay, that part I have heard, that he hit two people with one shot. Okay. No charges have been brought, but the sheriff's office's investigation is ongoing. Sources on the Rust set have insisted the fatal incident was a result of failings from top to bottom, starting with the production's low budget and cost-cutting measures. Gutierrez-Reed was described as being inexperienced and green by a Rust production source, who told the Daily Beast there were at least two previous incidents of guns being accidentally discharged by other crew members before Thursday's tragic incident. I'm just going to... If you have that and Baldwin, who is so much, I guess, something I've heard, he's so much against anti-guns and all this other type of stuff, you would think he would be even more careful with being handed a gun, especially with this going on. According to the Actors Equity Association guidelines, guns should be test-fired off-stage before each use. All loading of firearms must be done by the property master, armorer, or experienced persons working under their direct supervision. Two Rust production sources, who have both worked in the industry for decades, claim that Assistant Director Dave Halls, who is named in the search warrant affidavit as the person who handed the gun to Baldwin and said it was safe, should have also checked the weapons. He is supposed to be our last line of defense, and he failed us, the first source said. He is the last person that's supposed to look at the firearm. I kind of have to agree now that, reading this, it is a failure from top to bottom. And for Hollywood, who's supposed to be so anti-gun, you would think these people would be even more about safety. No, we hear them harping over and over and over again like a drum beat. Gun safety, gun safety, gun safety. Well, you would think that they would hire people that are very much about gun safety. Gutierrez-Reed had placed 3 prop guns on a cart outside where the scene was being filmed before Halls grabbed a revolver from the cart and gave it to Baldwin. Halls called out, "Cold gun on set," according to the affidavit. The second production source told the Daily Beast that the first assistant director should be personally verifying whether a weapon is hot or cold. Cold gun indicates there is no cartridges, including blanks, inside the firearm. A hot gun indicates a weapon is loaded with cartridges, either live ammunition or blank rounds. This check should have been done to prevent this incident. Just in a heartbreaking 911 call, script supervisor Mamie Mitchell also seemed to reference Hall as she urgently asked a dispatcher to send an ambulance to the set of Bonanza Creek Ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe. Mitchell can be overheard telling somebody nearby, "This fucking AD that yelled at me at lunch about his revisions, this motherfucker. Did you see him lean over my desk and yell at me? He's supposed to check the guns. He's responsible for what happened. Sounds like there's a lot of drama going on the set. The allegations from Rust crew members appear to mirror allegations from two production sources who worked with Gutierrez-Reed on The Old Way, where she was hired as the head armorer. Gutierrez-Reed did not respond to the Daily Beast's request for comment on Saturday. They also reached out to the Rust Movie Productions LLC and Halls for comment. In a statement to the New York Times, the company said it had not been made aware of any official complaints concerning weapon or prop safety on set, noting it would be conducting an internal review and cooperating with law enforcement. A relative newcomer to being an armorer. I mean, it's a newcomer, and she's head armorer, and she's a newcomer? Sorry, that's red flags right there. She should have years, even decades of heavy experience before being head armorer. Now, she was trained by her father, the Hollywood veteran firearms consultant Thel Reed. The Old Way was the first time Gutierrez-Reed had worked as head armorer, admitting on the Voices of West podcast that she nearly didn't take the position because she wasn't sure she was ready. And she thought loading blank rounds into firearms was the scariest thing. But doing it went really smoothly, she said. Okay, scary, green, but head we wonder why. This type thing, no, you need experienced people. But she said, no, it went really smoothly. However, that's not how production sources from The Old Way described their experience working with her. There were several concerns I brought to the production's attention. I've been around firearms my entire life and noticed some things that were not okay, even when loaded blank firearms. Another source said, compared to other sets they had been on, there was considerably less attention to gun safety under her. The most troubling incident occurred when she allegedly loaded a gun on the ground where the area was filled with pebbles. Then, without properly checking the weapon, handed it to child actress Ryan Correa Armstrong. Unfortunately, concerned crew members intervened, demanding filming be stopped until Gutierrez-Reed had properly checked the firearm. I mean, that just... I mean, I'm not... I don't know much gun safety. I don't own a gun. Haven't been through it. But even I know you don't do it on the ground with pebbles and stuff. She was reloading the gun on the ground where there are pebbles and stuff. We didn't see her check it. We didn't know if something got in the barrel or not. Yeah, sorry, son gets in the barrel with a blank round. That's live ammo. That's a gun. And of course, detectives are still looking at it. Apparently, there were multiple complaints made to production, with at least 6 fed-up crew members reportedly walking off set hours before Baldwin was handed the prop gun. The production source said crew members had complained directly to Halls about the previous accidental gun discharges over the weekend, demanding to make sure they were documented. All of us yelled at him. That had better be on the production report. These guys are irresponsible and shouldn't be here. If that is true, then this production ground made a huge mistake. As the person continued, that should be an automatic grounds for termination on a union film set. You should be gone. The first time that gun went off without telling anybody, that whole department should have been replaced immediately. Clearly, production thought better of it, decided to roll the dice and pay the ultimate price. Now, if what I'm reading here is true, there's a lot of people to blame for this one. I remember watching a thing about Brandon Lee, how he passed away, and again, it was a failure of checks. And I think the armorer admitted it. I don't know. It's been years since I saw it, but you would think after stuff like that, they'd be even more strict in gun safety. Of course, sources have maintained the film's production company would do anything to save money. For example, they promised to put the crew up in a hotel in Santa Fe to be close to the set. However, when filming began, the crew were allegedly told there would be no such accommodations, and instead they would have to travel to and from Albuquerque, around 50 miles away. Many voiced concerns about working up to 13 hours a day, then driving an hour home in the dark. Others were annoyed by the shooting schedule of Wednesday through Sunday, which had been tailored to Baldwin's schedule so that he could tape for his podcast, Here's the Thing with Alec Baldwin, which airs on Mondays. While Gutierrez-Reed has not yet commented on the tragedy, prop gun experts told the Daily Beast the armor is usually ultimately responsible for the weapons on set. It's up to the armor company to prepare the firearms a day or two before and to test fire them. Make sure everything's okay and the blank rounds are okay, said Richard Howell of Foxtrot Productions, a film armorer with 30 years of experience. In film and TV, it's a very controlled environment. You have to do risk assessments. Sounds like she didn't. Of course, on Friday, Baldwin expressed his concerns. Attended a private memorial in her honor. He also backed reports that he was told the prop gun was safe to use. This is my biggest thing with this part. If safety, why did he point the gun at her and shoot? This part I haven't heard anything. Maybe someone knows. I don't know. Let me know what you think. With all this, the harping about gun safety and all this other type of stuff, and from Hollywood and all this other type of stuff, you would think something like this wouldn't happen. And the fact someone with clearly so little experience was head armor is shocking to me. But that's just me. Let me know what you think. I'm Grid7. Come on over to Rumble, and I'll see you next video.